Hello, my fellow fans of the small. I'm Lara Blair, and this is Tiny Worlds, Big Stories. Here we celebrate the artists who craft small-scale magic, miniature makers, diorama dreamers, and dollhouse designers, and uncover the stories and creativity that bring these tiny worlds to life. Whether you build tiny scenes or simply love them, welcome. Before we begin, I want you to imagine something. You're driving through a quiet city at night. Most of the storefronts are dark, but then you see it. A neon sign glowing pink and blue, psychic, palm reading, future told. The building feels real, the air feels still, and there's a loneliness to it, a mystery. And then you learn it's 6 inches tall. Today, I'm talking with Australian contemporary artist Anna Carey, whose miniature architectural sculptures blur the line between reality and illusion in the most cinematic way. Anna builds small-scale houses and motel rooms and storefronts, and then she photographs them so convincingly that you're not quite sure what you're looking at. Her work holds nostalgia and eeriness in the same breath. It speaks to demolition, memory, and the emotional weight of built spaces. During COVID lockdown in LA, when the world felt suspended and uncertain, she began her Psychic Works series, neon-lit miniature storefronts that glowed against the darkness. They felt dystopian and hopeful, lonely, and alive. In this conversation, we talk about growing up in the 90s in Australia, the imaginative play that helped her practice, why perfection makes a model feel real, and how working in miniature can both be meditative and quietly profound. Anna's work asks us to look twice, to slow down, to question what we think is real, and to consider how small spaces can hold enormous emotion. I am so honored to share this conversation with you. Hello, Anna. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'm a big fan, and I've been following you for a while. And I always love to start with, were you a creative kid? Is that something that, did you have a big imagination, miniatures, the whole thing?
Definitely. I just love making things. I always have. Yeah. In terms of miniatures, I think doll houses and things like that weren't really around when I was growing up, like the time and place I was in, the 90s, Australia. It was more Barbies and Polly Pocket. I loved that.
Polly Pocket.
Yeah, it was like this little universe you could hold in your hand.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I mean, thinking about the art. So big imagination. So we're going to talk about psychic visions and how that started. And I guess I always wanted to know, was there a place or a structure or something when you were there that it made you feel something to want to start that project? Is there a memory or something in particular, especially a place that made you, feel something deeply?
Yeah. Well, I started the Psychic Works when I was in Los Angeles, and, it was COVID. So a lot of them were shut down, but they still had their neon lights shining, there was this glimmer of hope, even though it was dystopian. There was still this utopian element in the landscape. And because the theme of the future was there, and the future was so unknown. And so I don't know, I just thought I have to, explore this. And because the psychic shops are similar to works I had done in the past in terms of the architecture being very vernacular and simple, but with lights and a fantasy element, in the past, I made motels and holiday homes, and, the motels have the neon. So there was definitely a connection between past work and the Psychic Works.
So why miniature? Why did you go down? Because I know you're a photographer. Why miniature? Why build it and then put it out? And it is really fun because I think some people at first don't know that it's miniature. People who are just coming upon your work, which is kind of fun. Why that?
It was a very organic, intuitive process. I didn't ever set out and think I'm going to make miniatures. I was just making things and experimenting. I did a spatial practices subject at university, which was installation. And I was, using materials from demolished houses because that's how it really started, responding to all of these holiday homes and motels that were being demolished. And then I started making houses with the wallpaper, and it just gradually developed through process and experimentation. Yeah. It wasn't until recently where I really had to think about miniatures. And when you asked me to be on the miniature podcast, I thought, yeah, like I work with miniatures.
Well, and it's a lot, it's artists who happen to work small scale. I mean, that's kind of, yeah, that's sort of the theme. Definitely.
Yeah.
The storytelling, the narrative part of it is so big with your work. I mean, I look at it and it's playful, but it's also a little spooky, a little eerie, haunting a little
Yeah.
bit. And what's the reaction? I love to be at an exhibit and people looking at these pieces when you had it. What was that like?
Yeah. Well, people have to double take, People look
Yeah.
twice and some people are like, is that a miniature? And that's what I love so much about the miniatures, that it makes you pause and stop and reflect and use your own imagination. And the combination with photography really does that as well with my work, the miniature and the photography. And yeah, and then people are just, it's like a puzzle. People are trying to figure it out, you know?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, you're right. They are trying to figure it out. And the way you shoot it
Mm,
outside, and how you have the lighting, I don't know if it's always outside, but the way you shoot it where it really does look like it's in that place is brilliant because it's the lighting, it's the feeling, and that's what adds to the realism, which is so much fun. So,
yeah.
did you finish the whole collection in 2020 during COVID?
No, it's been ongoing. It's been ongoing. Yeah, so I finished, I think, 2024. I made one body of work in 2020, and then I created more work with that theme of the psychics and future 2024. Yeah.
All right. So the lens itself, when it magnifies everything that you're looking at, does it allow you to say something with the miniatures that you wouldn't be able to say if it was just taking a picture of a structure that is perhaps, life size, weird motel with the sign outside? Is there something you can say with it?
With the photography, yeah, I think the lens magnifies the model and it exposes things that I don't even see within the model, like, because it sort of blows it up. And that creates that disorientation, that imagination even further than just the model. And yeah, and I think it also helps create an illusion as well. I think there's also a cinematic element to the work with the
Yes, it really
photography.
feels like that to me too. It's very cinematic.
With the lighting and the noir, like you said, kind of creepy before. It's got that element with the psychic works, and they're a little bit deteriorated, and they are lived in or abandoned. They're
And an element, yeah. I love
yeah.
the whole, that was the thing that was lit up during that time when the whole world was shut down. The neon signs were still out there. That's brilliant. I love that. So do you see yourself as a sculptor who photographs, or do you see yourself as a photographer who builds things to photograph?
I think a sculptor who photographs the work, because the majority of my time is spent in model making.
So you have a big shop?
I have a studio, but it's just all my time is spent with the model, and it's only a small amount of time that I photograph. So I feel like I'm more of a, model maker, sculptor,
Yeah.
and I enjoy the handmade more than the photography and the technical parts of photography. Yeah.
Which particular art medium did you major in when you went to school?
Fine art. Yeah.
Fine
Fine
art,
art.
okay. And was there ever a time to do something else? You wanted to do a different medium, or was this always it, photography, and then moving through that?
Like I said before, it just evolved to photography. I never thought I would use photography. It just developed into that as a way to express my ideas in terms of what I was reacting to, which was the subject matter of a certain type of architecture that was around me. Uh, and it was disappearing because I come from a place that's rapidly developing and everything is demolished. And all of these childhood memories were just gone, and the photography and the model making really captured what I was trying to say. It's disorientating. And I think even though the model making was very intuitive, like I said, looking back, there's so many reasons why the model works with what I'm saying, because it's a meditative process, and it's a unique one-off because it's all handmade. I'll buy like dollhouse parts and things like that. So in a way, it resists mass production, and it's authentic. and it's giving these places, I guess, the dignity they deserve, or just highlighting them. I feel like just a photograph, it is not as, like photography is great and all, but just a photograph, it doesn't say as much. It doesn't give as much energy to it. Whereas when you make a model of something, you're pretty committed.
Are they all in your house? Do you have all the models?
Yeah. I used to destroy them, actually.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did?
yeah.
Mimicking the demolishing part?
Yeah, yeah. And the photograph
Yeah.
captured a moment in time. And in that way, photography is really important because there is a connection to memory as well. And the works are very much about memory. And all of the places that I make are, places that have like a familiar or an element of memory. Yeah. Yeah. They're not new places.
Besides them being beacons of light in 2020, the whole psychic thing, was that everything, anything you had experience with before, like these tarot readers and all the fun, campy sort of places, or is it just because you noticed it?
No, I'm interested in those invisible worlds. Yeah. And I was able to explore it within my work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I am too. So I was just kind of intrigued by that. So you're back and forth. You're back and forth between LA and the Gold Coast. And so what is that like for you? And how did that happen? That's a big, intense life going back and forth.
Yes. And hopefully that settles down a little bit. It will have to soon, I think, because it is a lot of work. I moved to Los Angeles for this work. For my work, I was doing my postgraduate degree, my doctorate, and my research was around the connection between Los Angeles, where I'm from, basically America, and where I'm from, the Gold Coast, because the Gold Coast copied a lot of places in America, and I was interested in this certain architecture that's local yet global, and that is also ambiguous, like it could be anywhere. And my husband and I arranged a way to get there. He needed a job, visas, and all that. So we moved over there, and we're still there most of the time.
Creating different for you in each place? Does it take a different form when you go to America versus
I
being
think
at home?
so. Yeah, I think America opened up a lot. The light in LA as well is so inspiring and beautiful and great to photograph under. And I
Yeah.
think my work became more cinematic since moving there, just because
Interesting.
the influence of the city. And when you drive around, you're like, is that a movie or is that real life? And there is, again, that extra layer of illusion.
Do you have a studio in both places?
I do.
Like, how do you, oh my gosh, wow, that's a lot. You're not putting that in the overhead bin.
I have before. I have. Hacked the models, like, yes, prefab.
Okay, so you are a mom. Your little
Yes.
guy's, gosh, is he a year?
1.5 nearly.
Oh my gosh, 1.5. Okay. So, and I ask this question of dads too, because it really bugs me when people ask artists, how has your creative life changed as a mom? Because, it changes as a parent,
Yeah.
overall. Just the imagination time and the creating time. How have you pivoted with that? Because that first year is a big one. It's a big one with a kid.
To be honest, I didn't really do any work in the first year. I did take a bit of a year off and focused on other things because I think your priorities change a bit. And although I still am making work and want to continue making work, it was just, I just wasn't there to make work then. I was just focused on him and, the contact napping and, all the things that come with it. No hands. So I'm only recently have got back into it. I had a year off. Yeah. And it's just, yeah, trying to find the time and organizing it with everyone and yeah, childcare support, all those things. But in terms of my creative process, I think that I'm definitely not going to do a million neons again, like some of the works. I
Really?
think the neon era is over. It's just so fiddly. So something that is a little bit more minimal, I really like to work on landscapes and nature. I think something that I'd like to explore.
And you pivoted, and tell us about magic making. I love you did this whole installation, which was amazing. Tell us about that, how it came about, because that's a big pivot from doing the smaller miniatures, but it's still that sense of place that you have.
Yes, yeah. And that was on the Gold Coast where I'm from. There was that sense of place there. And that was the Children's Gallery at Hodder, the regional city museum here. And it's a great program where they collaborate with artists and basically, use their IP and work with the artist to create an imaginary space for the kids and an educational program for them. So we were just pulling out parts of my work, whether it be the wallpaper. We blew up a wallpaper and made a real life wallpaper that you could actually, it was like walking into a model. Or we had the models there that the kids could peep through. We played with light. And there was a activity where the kids would sit down and make like a diorama and color it in and use their imagination. So, similar process to what I do. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool that they take the artists on and they give you that space. What a
It's so
dream.
cool.
I mean, what were you thinking when you walked in there? Did you have a plan or did you develop it while you were walking through the whole process?
Yeah, it was a process, and I developed it with Jodie, who is the curator at the Children's Gallery, and she has a lot of ideas as well. So it's really collaboration. Yeah.
And how was your the kids? I was interested. What did the kids say? What are some of the reactions and feelings that they had?
Oh, they're so clever. They made so many connections between the models and the life-size space, and they're just excited, and it is like a magical experience. When you're a kid and it's just everything's magical, and I think it really was for them. Yeah, where they could use their imagination.
So
Yeah,
that ran for a while and it closed, correct?
about a
They
year.
moved, they had probably had another artist. And do you have a plan for what's next? Or are you just sort of letting it come to you?
I'm working on some models at the moment. I'm doing the kind of behind the scenes or the back of a model at the moment, the back of a motel. And so it's still got that kind of noir feeling with the lights and things like that. And then, like I said, I would like to try landscapes because a lot of the time I am photographing the work in a landscape or creating a set and putting the models in the set, similar to, a movie set. But I would like to try and create my own landscapes and maybe reduce the architecture a little bit and have the focus be on the space around it with the mountain.
Okay, so is there a particular kind of landscape that is the most nostalgic for you?
Honestly, probably tropical. 'Cause that's where I created a lot of childhood memories growing up where I did, we had a boat, we were on the boat. So yeah, just, very dreamy, tropical, seaside memories.
So stories to be told, narrative work. Do you have any artists out there that you like to work with or that you admire and you're drawn to their narrative sort of style of making art?
I look to a lot of artists who make miniatures and photograph them, or models and
Mhm.
photograph them. James Cassably's one of them, Laurie Nix, Thomas Demand. He doesn't make miniatures, but he makes models and photographs them. I love Ed Ruscha and all of his work around the
Mhm.
city and the architecture of the city and font and words, because I have a lot of words in my work. And just his sense of humor is funny, but it's also poetic at the same time, and I think that that is an element in my work.
Oh, yes, definitely. Oh, that was one of the other things that drew me to it's clever. You kinda go, "Oh, this isn't interesting." It was almost like a little pull. I just started looking at your work, and then I realized it was miniature, and then I just kept going deeper. It's a way you feel when you look at it. That's what it
Yeah.
was almost like I felt kinda mysterious and noir when I was looking at the pieces, which is always sort of fun when
Yeah.
have you ever looked at set designers who build miniatures for theaters? I've been looking at that lately. Lots of artists around the world. Holy cow. Unbelievable skills.
Actually, that's something I'd like to do. Yeah.
See, I could see you doing that. Would that be something you would like to
I have thought about that. Yeah.
that seems like a natural thing to me. And especially if you have a play and it has a feeling, you know how to do that, to evoke a
It's
feeling.
about the colors, the lighting, mood.
Lighting. Yeah, that seems like a very natural progression. That's super cool. Is there anything else out there that you haven't done that you wanna do, medium-wise, exhibit-wise?
I did enjoy the life size. It would be cool to even work with scale in a different way and go even larger, so the humans become almost the miniature or like a fairy,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
What was your PhD work in? By the way, I'm interested in where, because you've come in so many different directions. What was your thesis when you got your PhD?
Yeah, it was an exegesis explaining my work, which was model making and photography, and it was focusing around the connection between Australia and America, but it developed
Mhm.
into a global architectural style and holiday memory.
Mhm.
Yeah, so the works for that, because there's a practical component which was made up the majority of it. It was the Stardust series, which was a collection of or a series of all Stardust motels in the world, and a series called In Search of Rainbows, which was interiors work, and it was like each interior had a predominant color, so it was about color and memory. And then a series called Far Away, which actually was exhibited in COVID, and then it closed because of COVID. But I thought it was very timely, though, the far away, dreaming of a place far away.
So you spent all of COVID during in LA making this
Yeah,
work?
yeah, we were
Right.
kind of stuck there, you know.
You couldn't leave. And I know Australia, I mean, I don't know how you guys dealt with it differently than America, but it was a very much a time of isolation, but I also think so much good art came out of that time cuz people they were stuck, and it was what am I going to do? That's how I started. I thought I have time. Let's just do this thing. Which
That's
music,
great.
music and books, and I mean think about all the incredible work that came out of the COVID time, which is, scary and awful, but also sort of a renaissance in terms of people being
Everyone
able to have
turned to
time to
art.
make work. They did, because it
You know, for
heals.
entertainment and beauty and escape.
Yes. And that's a question too I have for you, because I've been thinking a lot about this lately. The art, how is it going to save the day? I always feel like the art's going to save the day when
I
it
hope
comes to the
so.
big picture, especially where I am, and where you are sometimes. Yeah. How do you see that happening? I can kind of see how I think it might happen, but
With I'm not against AI at all, but I think with just the way everything's going with AI and just everything, I think there's gonna be a return, might not, it's just my thoughts, a return to things like art and miniature and authenticity and beauty, seeking some kind of refuge within it all. I hope
I
so.
I talk a lot with miniaturists about why miniatures, and why is this something that has really kind of come alive in the last few years. And COVID was a huge part of it. People are like, oh, I'm going to build this. What do you think it is about miniatures in particular that people feel safe with it or gravitate towards it especially when times can be a little rough?
I think it's the stillness. For me, it's a meditative process. And I realized that once getting back into work, because after having my kid, I was thinking, am I even going to be able to jump back into work? Like, how am I going to do this?
Mm.
My work is too so time consuming. And once I started, I was like, oh, I really need this. This is a meditative process. And I'm able to process and just the stillness. And I think it creates that same experience for the viewer. Think people are drawn to miniatures as well, and I think people will be more moving forward because we're on our phone so much, and I think phone detox, it's already happening, and I think it will continue to happen, and the miniature really forces you to get off your phone and be in the present moment. So I think it really, yeah, brings you back down to earth rather than up in the
That's a
collective.
great thing. Yeah, excellent. I think you're right. I hope we get there. I really do, because I do feel like there's a pull right now. People are just done with
Mm,
enough.
yeah,
Yeah, and the small things, you have to pay attention, like you said before, it makes you pay attention to the details, and you can't do that when you're distracted.
well,
When you made art before you had your son, did you have big blocks of time, like the 4 to 5 hours where you
all
could
day, every day. Yeah.
hyper focus? I'm an empty nester, so I know what that is. It's pretty great. But were you able to shift it where you can get quite a bit done in a short amount of time because you have to as a
I
mom?
think so, yeah. People are like, "What can you do in 2 hours?" I'm like, "A lot. I can do a lot."
If you're forced to, a lot. Yeah.
But even if it is I'm working a little bit slower at the moment or that, it's he's gonna get older in a couple of years and he'll be, at school. So I think if I just do something little every day, I
Yeah.
feel good, I just feel like I've accomplished something and it gives me something to focus on as well rather than, like, just being in kidland, and everything the week's blurring. It's just good to have that structure for myself.
Also something for yourself. So I wanna talk about the technical stuff. What are your
Oh,
favorite materials to work with and tools and, and incredibly that you have 2 studios, like, what across the world. What are the things that are just your way of making this work?
foam core. I just use foam core. It's very simple. I've tried other things, but I love how it bends and it gets worn in and yeah, paper, like the imperfections in my work are really what make them real. If they were, because they're not perfect models and they whether it is a little bit of paper ripping or paint peeling, it's what makes them look real, especially the places
Mhm.
that I'm making, like old beach shacks or, rundown psychic shops, hotels. So the foam core and the paper I really love, and the paint. And I just use a scalpel or exact,
That's what we call it here.
yeah, yeah.
Is that pretty much it? Like, no bigger tools?
Well, no. No, I cut the perspex to windows with that knife. I use the neon lights, which
More
is
time consuming.
yeah.
Okay, the neon lights. That's nice though, because if you don't have a ton of tools and you know what you like and you know your process. I love the foam core thing for me is that you don't have to have it exact mathematically to fit a window frame in there. As someone who hates measuring, I love that about it's very forgiving. And you're right, you
Yeah.
can weather it, you can do so many different things to it. I'm finding that's one of the things that connects the diorama makers and the dollhouse people is that it's such a great material for all of us, who want to work small. Other mediums, you like to draw.
Yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah, but not recently, really, just because the models take up so much time, but I have used drawing within my work over the
Yeah.
top of models and over the top of photographs.
So when you're in the studio and you're doing your thing, do you have that hyper focus flow thing where you look up and time has passed and it hasn't felt like it at all?
Yeah, definitely, and the days go so quick.
Yes, they do. Then you're sitting doing a podcast at 55 and your kids are all grown. It's a very interesting, especially as a mom, because you have these stages. I was always so distracted. That was the thing as an artistic person. And I grew up with a super creative parent as well. It changes the dynamic of your relationship to your own creativity, not just
Yeah.
in time, but in all the other things that go with it. All right, I was going to ask you what's also inspiring you right now besides, other artists and set design and all those fun things. Do you have movies because you're the cinematic part of your work is so cool, movies or books or any music that you love?
Oh, I haven't been watching any movies, but I'd love to go to the movies. Hone Honestly, it comes back to nature. And that's the reason why I'd like to explore nature. I think because I haven't been able to really engage with like I go to bed to get sleep and things like that, and I've just been spending a lot of time outside with my kid. And so and I think I'm always just making like it's always a reaction to the environment I am in, whether I'm in LA, whether I'm in the Gold Coast, and I think that nature has really been on my mind, and that's what's inspiring me.
Well, LA is such a fast-paced place. Do you feel that when you're there in terms of just living your life or making your art?
Yeah, I do. But then at the same time, we live in Ocean Park and it's quiet and it just sometimes feels like a little seaside town. And yeah, there's a lot of parks nearby. But we go into LA and we feel that. The last year I've probably been in my bubble there with a newborn. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, all those you'll go through all the stages for sure. Yeah. And also what's fun is it's so fun to make art with your kid, when they see what you're
Oh,
doing.
he's old enough for that now.
And yours are little, they're tiny, they're accessible
Yeah.
to him, which is so great. So what advice would you give to someone, say, like me or other people who make art where the narrative piece is really important, the storytelling part? Just words of wisdom or things that worked for you. for people who want to tell a story with their work?
It's just follow what lights you up. I mean, it sounds like a cliche answer, but just really going down a rabbit hole into, the themes that you like and are interested in. And then it's just such a process. It just will unravel and just continue to work on it and workshop and refine.
Workshop and refine. Yeah, that
Yeah.
really is a lot of it, isn't it? Showing up and just doing it.
Yeah. You can't plan everything. Well, if
True.
that's your process, but for me, it's very organic, just letting things happen and not forcing one outcome. Let the work become what it wants to be.
Yeah, that's great
Yeah.
advice. Do you remember a moment when you were making these during COVID, you were like, "Oh, this is interesting route this is taking me down." Almost like it was the muse kind of talking to you. Do you remember that?
I think that happened at the start, not necessarily in the psychic works, but I guess you could say in the psychic works, just seeing things in the landscape as well, and having synchronicities in what I'm doing in the studio and what's happening outside, and allowing whatever happens in the studio to be almost like creating my own world. But I think that happened early on with just allowing the models to be not perfect and have like a door missing or, not finished. I walked into the studio one day and the model was sitting there and it was not finished. And I was like, this is perfect,
How nice.
just like it looked like it was in the middle of a construction site. I was like, this is it. So
It was ready for its close up. Yeah, for sure. That's kind of nice when it tells you it's done. Are you planning on doing any other exhibits or anything where people can find you and see you out in the world?
yeah, I'm working on new work at the moment and I show with Sophie Gannon Gallery in Melbourne. So, yeah, every few years I'll have a show with my gallery there. Yeah.
You show in LA too, right? You've shown in LA.
I don't have a gallery there, but I have shown there. I have shown at Lax Airport.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, had Stardust and Rainbow Works there. And I have work in Soho House in all the locations there, in the hotel rooms, which is great.
Oh,
So,
that's
yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
How cool is that? Did you coordinate that? Or did someone come to you?
Yes, I did.
Wonderful.
I met the head collector there and, yeah, just kept in contact, and she's so great. They really do support artists.
Do you find that Australia supports artists more than the US in terms of just like the money part or giving you opportunities?
I just think it's very different. There's probably a lot more government support here. But, the but then also Australia doesn't have the collectors that, say, America does, It's not there's no big secondary market. I think as well, yeah, different economy, different wealth. So, yeah, it's very different. And look, in Australia, I grew up here. I went to university here. I have a lot of connections here, and it's my home. Whereas I think in America, it's a little bit harder because I don't know anyone. Like, I know people now, but I've had to, you know, meet people and make connections. Yeah.
Well, and as you find as your kid gets older, you'll be hanging out with more people as well, because that's a natural thing, to get out, to get
Get a lot
with
of
some
people. Yeah, because I used to just be in my garage, and now I'm at the park, and yeah, but I really like the hybrid. I like the hybrid thing that I have now where I do a little bit of work and then I, go and spend the afternoon with him. Yeah, it's
that is
nice.
a nice time. So I think you should do a coffee table book. That's just my 2 cents because,
Thank you.
oh my gosh,
I was thinking about it the other day, like, should
that
I
would be
look
such a
into just
cool coffee table book.
Thank you. That's so nice to hear. I feel like you're holding the vision for me.
I will hold the vision for you because I can see it. And I can also see it sitting on the coffee tables in those hotel rooms with your pieces on the wall.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually something I'd love to do. I'd love to make a big motel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I love like short-term rentals and yeah, just holidays and hotels and motels. I'd love to make big.
Like a human-sized one.
Yeah. Somehow do something with a hotel or motel. Yeah, I think that would be cool.
That's super
Yeah.
interesting. Well, and a lot of those beautiful old ones, they need to be redone. It makes me
Yes,
sad when they take
yes.
them down. The signs are so retro and cool. Have you been to Vegas
I
in
have.
terms of
Yes, yes.
signs?
That was placed within my research.
Yeah, I could see where a lot of those signs would be pretty interesting to you. I mean, they go way back. And the Palm Springs thing, there's such a vibe in Palm Springs with the things you're talking about. My mom lives there and I go and I love it. I love the architecture. I love the modern part of it. But the whole nostalgia piece of it in the mid 50s, early 60s, you can't beat it. It's a rich escape. That's what it is for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I got married there.
You did in Palm Springs.
We love it. We love it. It's our escape.
I
Yeah.
do too.
Yeah.
It's a great place. So until your coffee table book comes out, where can people look at your work, see all your stuff? Tell us all of the spots online that we can find you.
So on Instagram, it's Anna Carey here, and website annacarey.net. That
And you have a nice list of some articles that were done about your work on your website that were very interesting and well written too. Those were fun. And then my last question for you is one I ask everybody, and it is, what did little Anna love and revere that grown up Anna gets to honor through this work?
probably just making imaginary worlds and being a fairy.
Yeah. A grown up fairy living in a motel.
With a miniature in a miniature world.
Yeah, yeah, that's wonderful. Well, I'm so excited to follow your career as you go. I feel like you're just getting started. I know you've done a lot, but there's a lot more stuff coming up, which is great. And be well. And the back and forth thing, my hat's off to you. I don't know how you do it.
Thank you. I think I'm gonna stay put for a little while.
You've earned it. Enjoy every minute. And it was such a delight talking
Oh,
to you in
thank
person. And
you.
and thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're busy, so
Of
thank
course,
you.
thank you for having me.
All right, you take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye. If you loved this episode, make sure you're subscribed on Apple or Spotify podcasts or the YouTube channel so you don't miss the stories and wisdom these incredible artists share. I'd love to see you inside my newsletter, Small by Design. On YouTube, just tap the link in the description. On Apple Podcasts, scroll to the bottom of the show notes. You can follow along on Instagram at Lara Blair Art Studio for my art and at Tiny Worlds Big Stories for podcast updates. If you're feeling generous, a 5-star rating helps other miniature fans find the show. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time in another tiny world with a big story.